We are live and we're going to talk about winter. We're going to talk about how to make cold approach work for you. If you want to do it alone, fine, do it alone. If you want to get help, fine, it doesn't need to be me. I will tell you everything you need to know in this life so you can make sure that you will get results eventually with cold approach, be it alone, together with your wings. If you have these, it's incredibly hard. If you want to get a coach, fine. I will tell you who you can hire, who's good, who's not good, what you should be aware of when you're watching YouTube content like this. Because one of the main issues guys have with watching cold approach videos and learning about game is you don't know what's real and what's fake. You just have no idea. There's a lot of people out there that are creating content and selling courses, but you don't really know if it's like good or not good. And of all the people that are selling dating um, material, not everybody has infields, you know. So how do you even know who's real and who's fake? You don't really know. And yeah, so I'm gonna give you everything you need to know. I'm gonna tell you how I went about it, how I got started with cold approach, how I eventually decided to get help because I got coached, and then and how to set yourself up for success once and for all. Because the main issue definitely in winter when you are alone and lonely, because the most difficult, saddest place for a man to be in is to be alone, single, no plans, no direction, not knowing, and not having a plan in place, not having a strategy in place to acquire new leads. That's the real issue. So you don't want to feel like this. It's a very, very bad place to be in. And so yeah, let's deal with this, right? So who am I? My name is Baltis. I am a 31-year-old European guy. I'm French, Belgian, and in the last 4 years, I have completely changed my life with daytime cold approach. Don't believe anything I say. Just go to my playlists, click on the infields. I think it's called cold approach infields. Take a look at those ones. You can see me in Barcelona. You can see me in Belgrade. You can see me in Belgium. You can see me in Spain. So yeah, don't believe anything I say. Just have a look there for yourself, and then make up your mind if I'm capable of doing it or not. So winter. The reason I want to talk about winter is because it's winter right now. It's the holidays. It's Christmas. You're a family. There's Christmas markets. There's people around walking hand in hand in the streets. I remember years ago, before cold approach, I would feel a lot of resentment when I saw couples walking hand in hand around. And I used to think there's something wrong with me for not having a girlfriend, not having kids. I would have family members ask me on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, like, oh, do you have a girlfriend? Where's your girlfriend? How's your love life? Blah, blah, blah. Don't you think it's time for you to settle down? So those are just real quote unquote problems, real things is to that can really, really bother a guy. And I was just thinking lately, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, not at all, because I finally have a plan in place, a strategy in place. I know how to acquire new leads. So I'm not obsessed with um, finding women. I'm not obsessed with this thing, because even when you are with family, let's say on Christmas Eve, and you don't have a girlfriend, you're constantly thinking about this, right? And you don't have a strategy in place, like who is going to be my next girl, where will I meet her, what should I do, how can I solve this problem, what about me having approach anxiety when I go to the gym, the supermarket, when I'm walking on the street, how to deal with the stress. I feel like there's something wrong with me. And as long as you don't tackle this biological need for you to meet and attract the feminine, if you don't have this in place, you will literally be obsessed from morning uh till night, and you will not be at peace before you actually solve this problem. And I remember feeling like this, being obsessed with this. I remember having exams and just desperately swiping away on Tinder and Bumble, going on dates during exams, because it was just more important to me biologically than finishing my degree. uh, Sitting around with family thinking like, oh, it would be nice to have a girlfriend here. You create this romantic fantasies, right? So there's nothing worse for worse than a guy, a single guy, to sit alone in the winter in the dark, if you live in Western Europe at least, and have no strategy in place for meeting, attracting women and acquiring new leads. Because that's the real issue. Most men, once they're on a date with a woman and they have some sort of conversation, they can make it happen, right? You can have a conversation, you can have a date, but how do you set up the date? How do you meet the women? Definitely once you are above 27, 28, 29, once women see the number like 30, 31, or anything above 30, if they see that on the screen like of Tinder and Bumble, whatever dating apps people are using right now, they all just, I mean, your chances diminish completely. It's so stupid. So these apps are working against you. Yeah. So what do you do about it? Winter can be very lonely. It can be very frustrating, and I just wanted to say that that's not your fault, because fundamentally that's just how culture has set us up. That's how people are living their lives. Um, Dating apps are so mainstream. Like, if it's I remember the time where people were not using dating apps when it was seen as something weird. I didn't want to install Tinder because it was for losers when I was like 19 or 20 years old. But then eventually, at some point, everybody just started using dating apps. And the problem with that is that once it starts working a little bit. Once you have your first date from a dating app, then you believe it works, and then you believe. Oh, Mohit Nadim, welcome. So once you get some success, once you get a date on Tinder, once you get laid with Tinder, then in your brain it's like, well, it works, right? Like, swiping equals date equals getting laid, or even a girlfriend. And I had several girlfriends with from Tinder or Bumble. So, and then you believe it works. So that means that if you swipe more, you'll probably get more dates, and then more sex, right? So that's like an endless loop where I think a lot of guys get stuck, and I definitely got stuck in that loop. But I still felt a lot of shame and guilt for not being able to cold approach women in public. I remember having a gorgeous girlfriend from Tinder, a Belgian girl, one of the best girls I ever had, and um, I just couldn't stand the reality, this deep realization. Like, had it not been for this app, I would not I would not know this woman. Because if me as a 26-year-old dude, I was with her, when I was 26, 27. Me as a 26-year-old, I did not know how to cold approach. I kind of knew what it was because I saw James Marshall in Barcelona and in Budapest, New York, speaking to girls. But yeah, this shame, this deep understanding, like, she's mine, but basically based off some stupid algorithm, a stupid app, and just chance, just luck, and also the fact that most of these girls that are on Tinder, like, it's, a lot of them are kind of desperate. They want to forget about their ex. They are bored. They're looking for extra validation. Is Yeah. I want to get coaching, but I need to get my tech sales job and save enough first. I'm currently in a tech sales bootcamp. Oh, really? What kind of tech sales bootcamp? Weren't you working in a hotel, Mohit Nadim, or was that somebody else? Maybe I'm confused. Because that would be funny. I used to work in a hotel, and then I did like a tech sales boot camp, and then I got into tech sales, and now I'm in tech sales. That would be funny if we have the exact same path. So yeah, winter is winter can be very lonely, can be a very dark and sad position for guys. The older you get, the more individualized people's lives become, you know, at least in the West. That's just so typical. In school you have your friends. Um, yeah, in school you have groups of guys and groups of women together. You do activities together, you go out together, you go drinking together. But once you get older, it just seems like everybody is just living their sad and boring life by themselves. That seems to be the destiny of a lot of people. Oh, okay, yeah, I got confused. So you didn't work in a hotel. Okay, cool. But tech sales is a good place because you'll be able to find a remote job if that's something you're interested in, and eventually tech sales is where the money is. You know, you want to work in tech sales because it's easy. It's easy sales. It's soft sales. It's usually a friendly environment. And once you're like, you can start off as a sales rep, and then you can become an account manager or something. And once you're an account manager or account executive, if you want to stay in corporate and if that's what you want to do, it's a good way of making uh, a lot of money. So yeah, winter. We're talking about winter, by the way, Mr. Hudu Muhammad. We're talking about winter and how it can be a very sad, dark, lonely place for a lot of guys. Um, just like right after a breakup for a man can be a lot more tough um, than for women. You know, women, they're vulnerable, they get taken care of, they find a new relationship way easier if they want to than a man. For a man, it's more like an existential crisis where you have to get your life together and your shit together, and it can take years and years and years and years and years. I'm in Belgium, Mr. Australia. Welcome to the show. Belgium is in Europe. The capital is Brussels. The boot camp, I work with Christian Casanova. So I work with Christian, just like I know you've been on Joseph's channel. So Joseph, you have Wingbro, that's Joseph. You have Pull University, that's Ephraim. And then you have me, my name is Baltis. Regardless of race or ethnicity, yeah, the answer is yes. If you want to be successful in daytime cold approach, you can. If you're not a stubborn bastard, that's usually the main problem. But those guys don't get coached anyway. And then you have the rare stubborn bastard that will never get coached, but that makes it work by himself. But that's like 0.00001%. I know one guy like this. And then I know another guy, a Bulgarian guy I met in Serbia, who did it by himself. At least I think he did it by himself. He was really good. But he was not a stubborn bastard. He just made it work. He was getting dates. He was doing really good. He was doing really good. So do you think any guy can be successful in cold approach regardless of race or ethnicity? Yeah. Well, you want to be able to speak English to, depending on where you want to go and what kind of women you like, but it's probably a requirement to speak decent English. If you can speak Spanish, for example, you can get away with a lot as well. If you can speak French, you can go to France. There's some islands, there's some African countries as well. So if you're into African girls, but you probably want to be able to speak English. So that's not really about race or ethnicity. That's more about language, right? If you only speak Dutch, for example, it's gonna be a lot more tough on you. If you only speak Arabic, if you have very heavy accents, maybe okay, cool, yeah. If you speak English, shouldn't be a problem. But like for example, if you speak good English and you're black or you're Arabic, I don't know, is your name is Mohit Nadim, so I don't know, are you what's your ethnicity then? What do you do for a living? Me, I work in tech sales. I work in tech sales, and the coaching is a passion project right now. Oh, Canada. Okay. Oh, nice. Nice. Like Honest Signals. I was watching videos from Honest. Pakistan moved to Canada when I was 12. All right. Oh, okay. Well, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you're from. Maybe I mean you'll always have people that see your face and they will think like, well, you're black, so fuck you, or you know, I don't like your skin color, or I don't like your accent, or you have an Indian accent or whatever Pakistani accent. But then yeah, that's not the kind of women you will deal with eventually. If you have like strong personality, strong character, it depends what you have to offer. Like people are not only their ethnicity and their, their skin color. It depends. For example, Mina here, he's Egyptian, uh works a normal job, and the guy is just pure charisma and personality. So and he's really really good at cold approach, so he can make it work. He's Arabic, right? Speaks decent English, but he has an accent, uh fairly limited vocabulary, but it's like functional, decent English. He's very funny, very outgoing. So the woman at the back is Brigitte Bardot. She's a French actress from the 60s. Was considered like the ultimate sex symbol. She's absolutely stunning, yeah. Hmm. so so we're talking about winter and how to set yourself up for success, um, either right now by creating a plan this winter so you can tackle the school approach problem, which you should, by the way. And I know a lot of people will say, well, I don't want coaching, I'll do it by myself. So you don't have to you don't have to hire me, but you could hire me, or you could hire some of the other guys. And as I said in the beginning, the main issue with this dating industry is you don't really know what's real and what's not real. Like how the hell do you know which guys actually know what they're talking about, you know? So my advice would be, and it's something that I did for myself, I had a breakup between summer and winter, and then by December I was just done with it. I hated myself, I hated my life, I hated the fact I couldn't cold approach, and I'd known about cold approach for years and years. So I was like, "Fuck this! Now it's enough." And that's when I called Christian, and that's when I joined the entourage. Well, it depends, Ricardo. Are you Dutch or are you Belgian? You can book an appointment with me if you're serious. I do 3 days at the minimum, and 5 days is also possible, but usually 3 days in the minimum. So in person, just you and me, no other guys around. It's completely private, and you get like lifelong support until you get the job done, until you find your wife. But so my story, I I was sick of it. I was sick of having this cold approach anxiety issue. I was so sick and tired of it. So I actually had a few calls with a few different guys from YouTube. And for example, I was a fan of James Marshall. So you have one channel called The Natural Lifestyles, James Marshall. But these guys are such a massive company, so big. And fun fact is that Ephraim, who's my friend now, his channel, as I said earlier, is Paul University. He's also coached by Christian Casanova. So Ephraim actually tried to book a call with James Marshall, like with the Natural Lifestyles team, but they simply didn't show up in the appointment. They just did not show up. So that tells you something about the size of this company and this. So that doesn't really create trust, right? The last thing you want is to invest a lot of money in some sort of organization and then not really have uh, a decent one-on-one support. That's just bullshit. So after I heard that story, I was like, okay, good thing I didn't sign up with these guys. Then there was another UK guy called, how is he called? James Tusk. I think his channel now is called Tusk and Team. And I spoke with the guy. I had a WhatsApp call with the guy. I really appreciated because speaking with him, and the way he was dealing with me was very friendly. But at the time, I was a broke student, so I couldn't afford any sort of coaching. But I definitely trusted the guy. I liked the guy. The little issue with him was he was, well, almost like hard selling me coaching. He sent me a lot of WhatsApp messages and like a lot of follow up, like, oh, and you know, these are the prices and those are the boot camps, and I'll be going there, and you could go there. And then eventually it went on and on and on about, well, how much can you afford, right? Maybe you can come to London for 1 day, for 2 day, like no matter what, as long as you pay me something, we'll make something work with some guy from my team. So I don't really want to look at a guy's YouTube channel and then sign up for something, even if it's like for one afternoon, and then not even get coached by him, by someone in his team. So there's not really proof. Uh, you know, I can't really say that it would work or it didn't work because I didn't do it. But I liked speaking with him on the phone. At least I trusted him, which is important. And then I had a call booked with Vadim, the Canadian Russian guy, who's originally from like he grew up in Toronto, from Honest Signals, but then he has a sales team working for him. So then I got a call back from somebody from his team. So it's not even Vadim himself, and they did a lot of follow up afterwards as well. But because these processes were so slow, I yeah, I done it. Eventually I signed up with Christian and did a week of coaching with him in Barcelona, which changed my life. And then here we are, like more than 2 years later. Now I have my own channel. So yeah, some typical problems. So first of all, you don't know what's real and what's not. So go with your gut feeling. I saw a couple of his videos, and for me it was clear, like I trust this guy. I can listen to him, and I see myself having a conversation with him and doing what he says, no problem. Typical problems with cold approach in general. If you want to do it alone, or if you want to do it with a wing, if you're going out on the street and you're like, okay, today I'm gonna cold approach, right? Typical problems are doing nothing, so doing nothing at all. Doing it alone, endlessly going out alone is also a problem, and not doing enough. So when I started out with cold approach in the 2 years before actually getting coached myself, I would do like sporadically an approach here, and then like 1 month later another approach there, and I would go on solo trips to Valencia. I went to Sevilla, Valencia. I went to Amsterdam. Where else did I go? I did a couple of solo trips, and I would call approach girls, but not enough. Like maybe 3 in a day, and waiting too much in between sets. So that's a mistake. You don't really know what a cold approach session is, what proper cold approach is. You cannot really progress unless you've done like at least 10 in a day in the span of like 2 hours. If you have never experienced that, then you don't really know what cold approach is. And then the issue with doing it alone is you don't know what you're doing wrong. And then it comes back to having a wing, but then that wing must know what you're doing wrong. And the chances of you actually having a wing that knows what he's doing is close to, close to nothing at all. Usually it's just a bunch, let's just be honest here, usually it's just a bunch of idiots that are like, well, we're gonna learn game. I've seen some cool content on YouTube, let's fucking do it. And it just one idiot plus another idiot just equals two idiots together, and they're just kind of doing something. They look very nervous, stressed. They're obviously not having fun. That's what I saw in Belgrade. There were like two UK guys parading up and down the main shopping street. They were like not having fun. I was having fun. Joseph was having fun. Ephraim was having fun. Like, we were definitely the best crew in town, but these guys were just not having fun. So that's an issue. So if you're doing it alone, or doing it with stupid wings, then it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And then another problem for the guys who are approaching alone is they see this quote unquote game thing as a performance, as a trick, and you should be funny, you should be seductive, you should make this crazy impression, you should have lines, you should say something weird. And I had this problem when I was cold approaching with my friend, here in Belgium. He would open girls and he would do something. At least he was not a coward for doing nothing, but it was really very performative, and that's just stupid. If you can get rid of the whole performance thing and just be normal, then eventually it's more about not doing anything wrong than it is about doing something right. Most guys, and this is just in general for everything dating considered, like, if guys would just stop doing everything wrong, they would have such incredible results. So yeah, thinking cold approach is like a trick, thinking it's a line, thinking you need to be seductive, thinking you need to be funny. So it's not at all about this. I think it's a bit of a disease coming from the pickup era. Guys like Neil Strauss, like how's he called, Mystery. So yeah, I don't even want to talk about that too much. So yeah, how do you survive? Then how do you survive winter? How do you make sure that by next spring, and by next summer you could have a girlfriend if that's what you want. And I know there's guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s thinking about, should I do this? Should I not do this? Will I get results? Will I not get results? Am I too old for this? Some guy recently booked a call with me, and then in the comments, in the little information tab, he wrote like, by the way, I am 46 years old. And I was like, okay, cool, that means you're serious, and that means looking for a relationship. So that you're a superb candidate for call approach. I think older guys are actually at an advantage because they have their shit together. You want to be a guy that has his shit together. There's no such thing as a hack that will get you in a girl's pants. Like learning game is not a life hack that will get you in a girl's pants if you're still just a stupid loser that doesn't even have a job. It's not about learning some stupid strategies or manipulating girls to get laid. That just doesn't work. So if you're frustrated these holidays with not having a girlfriend, not having a wife, and most importantly, not having a strategy in place for finding that, my suggestion is do your research on YouTube and collect a couple of guys that you feel like, I could work with this guy. Could be me, could be somebody else, right? Make sure that they are actually doing cold approach. So they must have infields of them being successful and making it work. Watch those videos. You'll have to make up your mind for yourself if you believe, like, is this true, is it not true? And just imagine yourself working with that person and think to yourself, like, is he a psychopath? Is he like some sick sex maniac or a narcissist? Yes or no? Is it too red pill? Is it not red pill enough? If you absolutely want to have some red pill guy, I mean, you can do whatever you want. So just imagine yourself having a normal conversation with this person. Do you believe what he's saying? Do you think you could listen to this kind of feedback? Do you feel like meeting this person would make you approach? Would it help you out? Mm. And then book a few calls with them. Like two can be enough. One can be enough, but maybe you want to do two. If you're buying a car, you shouldn't buy the first car you're going on a test drive with. So try a few cars, compare them, and pick the one you like, and then book the call, at least so you know how much it costs. And maybe you can't afford it right now, but maybe you can next year. Maybe somebody else is cheaper. Oh yeah, and another thing, beware of like boot camps, because I've heard several stories of guys doing boot camps, like doing these group coaching experiences where it's like 2 to 10 guys together in a group, and then the coach gives them a couple of hours of attention a day, and they do like a combination of, we're gonna go to the clubs and we're gonna go out during the day, blah blah blah, we're gonna do a little bit of everything, and it's gonna be an immersive experience. I've heard guys say like it was horrible, I didn't get enough attention, and I've also heard guys say, well, it was good, but it was too short. So even if it's good, it's not good enough because it's too short, and because it's just a mix of a lot of stuff. So working with me, or could be Joseph or Ephraim, but working with me is just one-on-one. So you will be doing 10 to 20 approaches a day, probably more, until you get the job done. So it's 100% cold approach focused, 100% one-on-one. There's no boot camps. The point is not me getting rich with some super gigantic business and doing great like boot camps and group coaching. The point is just getting the job done. So yeah, make your plan this winter. Book some calls with you guys, with some guys that you trust, uh, and make up your mind. Ultimately, you're an individual who can make decisions. So yeah, and then what does what does make it work mean? What does, like, what if cold approach? Because the title of this life is how to make cold approach work for you. So you must have a plan uh to meet and attract women. You must have this. I don't have this anxiety anymore. I'm not annoyed on family parties by aunts and grandparents telling me like, "Oh, where's your girlfriend?" Blah blah blah. I don't. That's not an issue. Things will happen for me 100%. So I don't have this anxiety. I don't feel like I'm missing out. I don't have any stress when I'm with family because I'm alone. I don't feel lonely at all. So how do you make cold approach work? Plan for it. Find a network. Find wings. Find a coach. Book coaching calls with several coaches, and then yeah, as a final point here, like, what does make cold approach work mean? What does it mean? So it doesn't mean that you'll get instant results like on your first day. It could mean you get instant results. I got my I got instant results. Other guys as well. It's possible. Um, it doesn't mean you'll have 0% rejection. That's not what it means. Making cold approach work, it means you have clarity, you have direction, and you're 100% sure that you're not doing anything wrong on a technical level in the cold approach, because that's the biggest issue guys have. Like, they're doing so many things wrong. They're stopping girls the wrong way. Tonality is just a mess. They're not setting up the date during the conversation. Their feet are pointing the wrong way. They're extremely nervous, anxious, because they're not having fun. They're not happy about who they are as a man. They don't have any direction or purpose. There is no goal. So that's what being successful in cold approach means, is that you know that as long as you put in the reps, you will keep on improving, because at least you know for sure you're not doing anything wrong, and you can basically not do this alone. So yeah, that's it. Basically, I think I've covered everything. So for this winter, if you want to set yourself up for success, create a plan. Go on solo trips. Find the YouTubers that you enjoy, and book some calls, and just make sure that but that you can do like an immersion or something in spring, so you can you can start doing it the right way. That's the point, really. Start doing it the right way. As long as you're not sitting somewhere in your house just thinking about it, not really doing it. You can't usually talk about this with your friends, because either they'll shame you for it, they won't understand, or they'll tell you you're stupid for wanting this. So yeah, it can be a tough one. It can be a tough one to find a wing. It's very hard. So boys, I think that's it. I'm gonna leave you for this one. Bye bye.